Hey Achievers, this is Maya, founder of Healthy High Achievers. Join our global community and create healthier routines to avoid burnout and feel more calm and healthy. Let's get to it. Hey Achievers, I'm so happy to present to you today Hailey Hennessy as our monthly guest expert here on the Healthy High Achievers podcast. She's a self-care coach, helps chronic people pleasers, right? To incorporate more self-care and choose healthy foods because she's certified in integrative nutrition, is going to be certified now in plant-based nutrition. And I loved one of your recent Instagram posts where you said, move your body, fresh food, early bedtime, sunshine, slowing down, gratitude. That was beautiful. It just sums up the whole thing, And I'm just so happy to have you here. So where in the world are you right now, Hailey?
Hi, I am in Flagstaff, Arizona in the United States, so pretty close to the Grand Canyon.
Oh, nice. Beautiful. So, hey, I participated in your Hygge challenge and I absolutely loved it. I wanted to bring this concept to Healthy High Achievers because I feel like they need this as well. And I would just like to ask you, I know it's a kind of becoming a hype word in the US, but many people haven't heard from it. So what is Hygge? And then I want people to walk away with just a couple of tips of how to incorporate little moments of Hygge when you're extremely busy in life. But first, let's get to, okay, what is that, Hygge?
Yeah, so Hygge is a Danish word, and it comes obviously from Denmark. And in Denmark and in that area of the world, as you may be familiar with, it can get really dark early in the day in the winter time. And so, when it's dark and it's cold, you spend a lot of time inside. And so when you're inside, if you want to have a more enjoyable time, the reason why Hygge exists basically is because it's kind of setting the tone and the atmosphere to feel cozy, to want to be inside, to enjoy your time, to not, feel like you're missing out on anything, and to just basically, have a lovely, cozy, warm, enjoyable moment with the people you're with inside of a building.
It sounds beautiful. And especially in these months of January, February, March, it can even be cold in the Northern Hemisphere, right? Because the holidays are over. And so the cozy Christmas lights are gone. But then how do you keep that coziness? Because it's dark, cloudy, we haven't seen the sun in months. And I'm locked up at home with a broken foot, so I can use a lot of Hygge right now to create these moments to myself, So how did you bump into Hygge? Because you're not from Denmark, are you?
I am not from Denmark, but I am from a cold state. But I originally found it just on YouTube. I was following a YouTuber called Jenny Mustard, and she's actually Swedish, and they have a similar word in Swedish, and it's, I think, mys or mys. And again, in Sweden, they, I think, even have a longer nights in the wintertime. And so when I heard about that from her, it's kind of like a way of life there. It's all year long. It doesn't matter if it's dark or light. They definitely believe in coziness. And so there's a lot of tips and tricks to kind of make Hygge or mys into something that you could have in your home. And it comes in all different shapes and sizes. So like you said, lighting, one of the most important things, at least for the Swedish people, is to not use the overhead lighting and to instead use lamps and, like you said, like fairy lights and candles and just like a little low light, lamps, I guess, in your room. And they say that the magic number is 7. So you need to, if you really want to go all out with Hygge, you want to have 7 light sources that are not from the ceiling in a room.
Ooh, I bought like 4 mini candles, so I have 4. Haven't used them yet, but I bought them thanks to your challenge. These fairy lights, I love them. I'd love to have just a ceiling full of fairy lights. So yes, I'm all for coziness, love it. But what what other aspects? Is it like just decorations in the house, how you decorate it, or what else does it entail, Hugo?
Yeah, you want to focus mostly on how you feel.
Hmm.
So you've got the lighting, you can have candles, like I said, you can have blankets sitting around. You want to be warm and enjoy your space. You can have nice soft music playing. Maybe if you have a record player, this is a good opportunity to use that, because I know it's sometimes, it's easier to just like hit play on your phone. But it also goes into food and drink. So you could have maybe a nice plate of warm cookies or biscuits, or you could make a nice stew or soup and then have a cup of tea, or I guess coffee. But I would honestly say that coffee wouldn't really go
In the
along with
evening.
that Hugo vibe, as you're like sitting there like wanting to go, 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 go. But then, yeah, it's all about the atmosphere and kind of being the conductor of the aroma of the space. So yeah,
Mm,
again, if literal aroma, you could start your essential oil diffuser or have something nice like, yeah, like
there
that,
you have it.
or maybe some incense burning. And it's just doing the things, everybody is a little bit different, and so maybe those things don't really, get you going, but if you've got something that's coming to mind, you can use that instead. So it's all about turning the your energy to a very relaxed and peaceful energy. And so
Mm,
whatever that means to you, that's what you should do. And so again, going back to the space, it's, how do we feel when the space is cluttered and junky? We kind of can feel a little anxious and, unnerved. And so taking some time to maybe straighten up and pick up things or wash the dishes before you go and get cozy on the couch. Those are some more good aspects to utilize from the whole Hygge, vibe.
yeah, and I remember how you talked about that first step of just picking one corner of your house, right? Just one small corner to create kind of that yoga feeling, because we might have a lot of clutter in the house. And when we want to start implementing this coziness, you look around the house and you're like, oh, I have a long way to go before I can create some yoga in my house, right? So yeah, with your challenge, I actually just put a pillow on the floor in a room that's not too cluttery. And I just put my favorite blanket there, my bunny socks, and just my journal and anything I need there, just some candles. And so that made it easier. I've been struggling with my morning meditation and I just couldn't get it in because I want to get up and go, right? But since I have that corner, it actually made the habit so much easier to create more of those moments for myself, to, like you said, bring myself into that state of relaxation and just feeling relaxed, feeling cozy, getting into myself, right?
Yes, yeah, that's a great way to begin. Because yeah, it can feel overwhelming if you've never heard of this before, and maybe you're used to going, 100% all the time, and you're very busy. It can feel overwhelming to kind of put that into your life because you're not used to it. And so yeah, starting with a little corner or a chair or, a little area of your home is a great way to begin. And I did the same thing. I had I called it a meditation nook. And I had this like a window at the edge of my living room in a past apartment. But there was kind of just like a space between like the end of the couch and the wall where the window was, that I wasn't using, and that it was just kind of there. And so I grabbed a chair, and you didn't like walk through it or anything, but I put a chair just right in front of the window, and then had a little blanket and my, like you said, like journal, a couple different journals. And I put my crystals on the windowsill there and just made it so it was very accessible, because that's the thing that, if you're wanting to make this happen, you got to make it as easy as possible for yourself to just dive right in. And so having a set space that's, that doesn't need to change or be put away is a great way to, start implementing Hygge in your everyday life.
Yeah, and that's a very important tip right there. A space that you don't have to put away, because the moment you have to put it away and then reconstruct the thing, you're not going to do it, right? Because you have to make it as accessible as possible. And I loved what you said about you're looking out the window. So you get that sunlight in, or maybe just in the evening, just the scenery, the little lights, and you're not actually looking or watching your house being all cluttered, or maybe you see things that you want to tidy up and you get distracted, and you just have that view outside. So that's a really good tip. And so that's how you started with that little nook, right?
Yeah.
What
Yes,
does your, just to give people some inspiration, what does your hygge look like right now?
Ooh. Well, I guess so. For me, where I live, we have a pretty equal, day to night ratio. But it definitely, the sun does set earlier. But I have always felt in the past that, productivity was king. And so I always felt like I needed to be getting something done, to be doing something, to be going out somewhere, to spend time with certain people. And I had a very uncomfortable relationship with just kind of, chilling out, taking it easy and not having anything to do. And I remember actually right about the time I started implementing more hygge things in my life, I was with a group of women and we were all kind of talking about, I guess, doing the things that kind of light us up but don't have a purpose. And they were saying, you should just, I think that was back when, adult coloring books are really popular. And so I was telling them, I enjoyed this coloring, but it, there's no end goal with it. Like, what am I going to do with this? And they're like, you don't need an end goal. You just try doing it for a little while and see, how it makes you feel and just enjoy your time. And so after that, I was like, oh, I don't have that relationship with things that, don't have an end goal. And so that leads to now where I realized that all of winter, the season of winter, I felt really bad for not wanting to do anything in the past. But then I realized over time, that's what winter is, everything, the leaves fall off the trees and the grass turns brown. Everything in nature kind of hibernates during this season. And that's how it is supposed to be. That's how it can, grow and flourish in summer and springtime. And so when I started, playing around with this, concept, or I guess like reality in my own life, I'm like, okay, I don't really have my own winter in my life. I feel like I'm always in summer. And so now I have given myself that kind of grace and understanding that, I need to take this season, this whole season, to relax, to slow down, to unwind, kind of like decompress from the busy summer and, autumn months. And so now I tried to go to bed pretty early. So last night I went to bed around 9 p.m. But usually between 9 and 10, I try to go to sleep. Whereas in the summer, it's more like maybe 10 or 11. And then I just am okay with when I start to make dinner, which is also pretty early, like around 4:30, 5 o'clock. I begin making dinner, and knowing that that's kind of the end of my day. It feels weird because the sun is still up and things are still happening and there's still stuff going on in town. But just knowing that that's okay kind of gives me permission to slow down and to, kind of tidy up before I settle into my cozy spaces, and to cozy up on the couch with a couple blankets. And I have a heat pack or a rice pack that you could, microwave and it gets hot. I use that constantly. Sometimes I'll brew a cup of tea. My partner and I will watch maybe a 30-minute episode of something, and then I'll read. And all of those things are very life-giving, even though they seem like they make you slow down a lot. So that's kind of how I've been incorporating the hygge, essence into my day.
And I love how you have that cue. Your cue is really okay. 4:35 p.m. I'm starting to cook. And just from the moment you start cooking, your hygge is actually starting, right? Your day is, you've been productive. It's time for you to be unproductive, to just relax, do something without an end goal. tidy up a little bit, start that whole evening ritual. And that is really what it's about, because yes, I recognize that feeling, and all of the Healthy High Achievers or members recognize that feeling of just wanting to do something useful all the freaking time. And so it's funny that you talk about winter this way, because this month I actually wrote a blog post about that, about what winter means in your life, right? And you describe it so beautifully, how winter is just a moment of winding down, self-reflection, just hibernating, sleeping in a bit, your body wants to slouch on the couch and just it's that natural rhythm of your body that really wants to slow down. And we kind of keep fighting it, right? We're like, no, I need to get this done and look at my to-do list, and I need to start this new project. But really it's going against nature, because it's winter, right? It's not always, like you say, summer when you're a busy bee, or springtime when you're starting new projects all the time. You need to prepare your body a little bit for springtime. So I love how yoga, like you said, is a thing of the whole year through. So you always need moments of downtime, moments of just disconnecting, relaxing, to be able to be productive. But especially now is kind of the time to, okay, if your body feels lazy, your mind just wants to grab a blanket and some tea, fine, flow with that, right? So, but let's imagine we have other listeners here who just have a full schedule or commitments that they cannot really cancel or go about in a different way. So their schedule is pretty full. They're kind of struggling with that, cluttering their schedule, cluttering their house, cluttering social life, right? How can they implement like these mini moments of yoga even when their mind is constantly up and going?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. And I would say just find those tiny moments in your day. So whether that's at the beginning when you wake up, or the end right before you go to sleep, just one thing. And I also like to, for those who have cars and drive around, sometime when you're in your car. In America, everybody drives their children to school and picks them up, even though we have school buses. And so there's these long car lines around every single elementary school of moms, just like, or dads or whoever, just waiting to, pick their child up. And a lot of people don't recognize or notice that this is a great moment to tap into something like that. So in these moments, maybe that's, for example, you could have that cup of tea and just be very intentional about it and think, okay, how does this tea feel in my hands? How does it smell? Like, use all of your senses. How does it taste? Obviously, how does it look? You could also go into a short meditation, maybe even 30 seconds to a minute. It's still meditation, it still counts.
Yeah.
Or even like speaking an affirmation to yourself. This is, kind of going into more of, some coaching ideas, but those are still Hygge based, and that's why, I'm promote adding this into your life, is because as a self-care coach, we tend to push all the self-care things to the bottom of our to-do list that is never ending. And so most of those things are, can fall underneath the category of Hygge. And Hygge is kind of something that you have to make that space for if you want to experience it, because it doesn't just happen. You have to be very intentional about it. So just by picking one thing, even that you already do, and then adding that intention and like taking time to just notice the moment, I think is a great way to add Hygge into a busy schedule.
Oh, that's a good one. Just things you're already doing, right? Like you said, when you're waiting for something, you're sitting on a bus, metro, whatever your means of transportation is, or even just during the day when you're having breakfast, how can you make your moment of breakfast a little bit more kind of creating these little moments of happiness as well? Coziness, happiness, all ties in a bit together. How can you turn on your favorite music or relaxing music? Just the word that came up for me, you mentioned being intentional, and the word that came up for me was mindfulness, right? just creating these moments of mindfulness that make you and feel relaxed and feel happy, and how you can be creative with that. And you don't even, because people who are listening and thinking, oh, I don't have time for this, I'm so busy till the moment I go to sleep, right? I cannot create a cozy corner or start meditating. Like you said, it could be 30 seconds. It could be looking out the window, sitting on the train, whatever. It could be just with things you're already doing, just paying a bit more attention, being more present, and creating that hygge in your busy life. So I love that. Are there any last tips that you'd like to give that you're like, oh, we didn't talk about that or mention this?
You actually, you mentioned something about when you were mentioning the breakfast and taking time. So hygge is also very a visual, concept. And so having things look beautiful and look appetizing when it comes to food. So even, if you're used to making, let's say, a bowl of oatmeal or porridge in the morning, you just kind of like throw it together. Yeah.
That's
and then
me.
you toss it into the bowl. You could take a couple more seconds to maybe, to top it in a beautiful way, or to add a sprinkle of cinnamon, or to, just make it more visually appealing, without, adding too much extra time to the process of it all. That's, I think, part of the reason why I was so drawn to this idea, or this, hygge in general, was because the visual aspect. I'm a very visual person. I love beauty. I'm a Libra. Like I have it in many different areas of my chart. And so it's like everything that's beautiful, I'm like, I appreciate that. I see that. I love that. And so, like even like plating your food and being intentional while you're making it, but then, how can you make it look a little bit better? And when I started doing this, it definitely didn't come naturally or right away, but it just, I kept practicing. And the more, I can make, just a plain old bowl of chili look beautiful, now.
Nice.
And so it's kind of a fun thing to practice that you're already eating anyway. So just take a few moments to make it a little bit more visually pleasing.
Yeah. And I must say, I'm not that creative with decorating the plate itself, but I did buy some very colorful plates in my favorite colors. And it's just, I've been watching these plates for like over a year, just when I saw them at the store. And I would be like, no, they're more expensive than regular plates, I'm not going to buy them. And now I was like, okay, Maya, you have this one yellow, actually it's right here, a yellow cup that you love, and every time you use it, you enjoy it. So it is worth that price if you're enjoying it every time you see it or you're using it. So I just went all in, and I bought many colorful plates, and it just makes me so much more happy when I serve my plate, when I'm eating. It's like, oh, look at this, which beautiful cup am I going to use today? So just those small things that make you happy every time you see them, the visual aspects. I love what you're mentioning there of, as long as it makes you happy, it gives you that relaxing feeling, it's very visual, anything you're already doing, just that little second extra, it doesn't even take extra time really, but paying attention to those little things. So I think this conversation, Hailey, is making all the listeners think of these small creative ways. If you're a bit stuck, you don't know how, definitely contact Hailey or participate in her challenge. When you're doing the next one, Hailey, please post it on the Healthy High Achievers community in the events section, because I just want to send everyone there. It's great. Like just 3 days, right? Starting with your first steps in hygge. Did I say it right? Yeah, hygge.
Yeah, you're saying it right.
I wonder if a Danish person is gonna say if I say it right. But we'll see. But anyway,
they'll probably want to chime in a little bit.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hailey, for these tips. I think people know where to get started and got really inspired to create some more coziness and hygge in their life. So any last words? Where can people find more about you, or what are you working on? Anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, sure. Yes, the best place to find me is Instagram, which is Hailey.Hennessy. And I try to get on there multiple times a week. I give lots of tips, talk about food, talk about self-care, all the things that, we need a little bit more love and attention on. But then I also have a Facebook page, which is, Hailey. I think it's technically Hennessy health coach. I don't know what the handle is, but just look up my name and you'll find me. And then I have a website as well. That's, www.haileyhennessy.com. But yeah, I have if you're really into self-care and you're really wanting to dive deeper, I have a whole coaching course around self-care. So self-care, as we've talked about today, isn't just one way. It comes into our body, our physical health, our mind, and our spirit. And so that's kind of how I built this program. And so it's all online. It's all like, module opens every week kind of a thing. But it's really interesting, the layering effect that our self-care can have. And so I'm really all about mind, body, spirit. And that's what I promote. So if you're interested in any of that, come find me on Instagram and we can chat.
Yes, I love your Instagram stories and the things you share, the practical tips. Love it. And by the way, Hailey's last name, Hennessy, is with double N and double S. That's where I got confused before.
And no EY, it's just Y.
Oh yeah,
a lot of people do that too.
Yes, perfect. But I'll put it in the show notes, in the description below. You can find all of her links. And hey, Hailey, thank you so much for being on the Healthy High Achievers podcast. And I wish you many, many cozy moments of you.
Thank you. Right back at ya.
Dear Achievers, I hope you liked this episode. If you did, please subscribe and share with your friends, anyone who needs to hear this. You're super welcome to join us at healthyhighachievers.community as well. See you there.